Hi guys! Welcome to another Solid review. I'm your host Briston Brown, also known as Solid Zaku. And in this episode, more or less, I'm going to be doing a viewer review. A YouTuber by the name of River Facklum has requested that I do a video showing how I stylize my Build A Bear Ponies' hairs. Now, if you've seen any of my previous videos, you know that a lot of my ponies are not quite show accurate. However, I do give them that unique little spin that, gives them this little charming appeal that I really like and have them displayed in my house. So, in this video, I will show you what tools you'll be needing, hints and tips for me, and just overall, the stylization of my ponies. I hope you enjoy, alright? And let's jump right to it. Alright, so let's talk about the tools that we'll be needing. It's very important to know that having the proper tools will help you out and stylize your pony's hair. Numero uno is to have one comb. If anything, a hairstylist comb with a teaser at the end is very, very important to have. Especially for some ponies like Twilight and Rainbow Dash, the tweezer will play a very important role in separating the colored hairs. And the comb like this is very fine and nice where it won't damage the hairs and you'll be combing it straight down. It's very much so the brushy and what you'll be doing mostly when stylizing their hairs, besides molding them. The next thing you'll most likely need is a pair of scissors. Children's grade, large, doesn't matter, just some kind of scissors to help you cut the excess amount of hair because sometimes it's just too long and it's gotta go. Now, first off the bat is Fluttershy. And let me show you a few things about Fluttershy as it is. For her, I've had her hairstyle is very similar to how she is in the show, where one side is coming down here swooping upward, and the other one is coming down over here in a downward curl motion. Now here's where I say I kind of cheated a bit, in that her tail was fine as it is. The way it came out was just curled up one. I just gently caressed it downwards and made it absolutely fine. I mean, I left the tail alone and it was fine as it. It's a bit frizzy, but I'm not going to complain too much about it. The tails are not really what I see when I have them in displayed. I usually have them in a very nice mode right here, or in a very nice style, like sideways, like a portrait shot in a sense, or a profile shot. But back to her hair though, the way I stylized it, I had it lap over one side, covering one of her ears that you can't actually see. If I part her hair, you'll see that she actually has her hidden ear right there. I'm messing up her hair a bit, but that's okay because I'll be restyling it anyways. And the other hair, which goes down here. When I originally got her, I believe I had it like bundled up like in a knot, like you'll be seeing with Rainbow Dash. And what I did is when I separated them, you can see right here, there's two different waves for the, actually kind of like three different waves for the hair plugs. And so what I did is I took the lower portion of it and left it as it is. I mean, a lot of it was very curled up. Oh, and I had to recurl it. As you can see right here, there's two different plugs for the end one. There was a separate one that goes like this and another one that curled like this. And all it is, it just took a lot of finessing, a lot of hand modeling. One important thing I want you to take this as a tip and a note is that a lot of these ponies will require a lot of hand molding, secondary to combing, with hairstyles that are a lot more straight. You won't see this with Fluttershy. You'll see this most likely with Twilight and Rainbow Dash, but you won't see this with Fluttershy or even Pinkie. And a lot of hand molding. Now keep in mind, it's really, really important that these ponies' hairs are not like real hair. They're plastic. So we have a little bit more privilege in molding it and folding and bending it to what we want. And utilizing heat helps a lot with that too. Heat from your hand. And if you're a collector or someone who's actually very used to customizing ponies, if you know how to heat the acrylic pony hair, not acrylic, but the plastic pony hairs, it's perfect. I myself do not do that because I do not have the tech for it in a sense, and I don't have the proper training. I do not want to damage my $25 ponies or $25 plus ponies and risk it. I will, however, snip their hairs and I don't have an issue with that. So let me see here. Let me try and get to the side and see how I like Fluttershy's hair. Look at that. There we go. Now it's very similar to almost a show where it comes all the way down, but it's not curled properly, but I kind of have that nice little curl to it. I really like that. Her hair's a little bit messy. This is where combing might come into handiness. Let me grab my comb. Very gently Get that all nice and neat. I didn't really comb much because if you do comb, keep in mind that sometimes it will part away things. It would take away. So sometimes, you know, having a little bit of fizz is not too bad. And you're still getting the overall look. And from a distance, you don't really notice it. Now, if you're close up, you could tell the difference. You could see it. And now with her right side, as I mentioned before, there was 2 different plugs that I had to deal with. I had to deal with the front plug, which actually was 2 separate ones that I had to curl off, and then a secondary right over here. The secondary was fine on its own. What I did is I just had her ears fold back, and this is where actually combing would come into handiness, especially with straight hair like that. You don't ever want to do it with curly hairs, because if you straighten out the curls, you lose out the mold factor for them. With the straight ones, you don't have to worry too much. Now remember when I said teasers actually come into handiness? It helps in separating, and get this at the right angle, separating the plugs sometimes. And this will, again, play heavier with Twilight and Rainbow Dash. And the 2 styles that I use, 2 ways I use to comb my pony's hairs, as usually, you know, you would do obviously the downward combing or whatnot, but I also do the undercombing too. Now, a lot of this undercombing is to help you separate, just keep it straight and separate it from all the knots. Now, here's really, really important notes is that in your early, because I've already combed these ponies very, very well, so I won't ever really come into a knot. But if you ever do come across a knot, like you're just stuck and you can't do anything, firmly grab near the base hair, near the base. Don't ever grab the base. You could, but I don't recommend. Firmly grab one portion of the hair and stroke downward. If you cannot, for whatever the means necessary, stroke downward, that's a very, very tight knot, I would suggest stopping and then try parting it with your hands. Remember, this is not like real hair where the hair will get super damaged. I mean, yes, these will get damaged. Like right now, look at that. I'm in a knot. Just bring it down. And this one won't. This one's very strong. There we go. And you want to keep on brushing that area until there are no more knots. Now, I'm not really combing her hair. Let me get that more for you to see it. This kind of frays the end of it, but that's where molding comes into play. Okay. I like it a bit. Again, where I mold is I'm going to J-shape that end tail portion. Have it come up. Again, my hand's emanating heat itself, so like it's nice to help mold it a bit. And there you go. I have that first portion of how I wanted her hair, which is going to curl in that direction. Now for this front one, this one I might avoid combing it because she has this nice little weave going, not weave, but a pattern going down. I don't want to damage it too much. So let me see. Originally it's still fine the way it was. I'm going to still hand mold it. Let me try and get this there where you guys can see it. Again, her ends are going to be frayed a bit. That's okay. I'm not too bothered by it. Now, here are some options you can do. As you can see in the video, it's a bit, you know, frizzy and whatnot. You have an option. You can trim this down and fine-tune the curves. However, in my recommendation, I don't do that. I don't like snipping more than I have to. If the pieces were like super extra long, then yes, I will snip them. But like little ends like this, it doesn't bother me too much. And I want accuracy, but you know, I don't want it at the cost that, you know, it might damage my pony. So, I'm happy the way she's styled right now. Except for this one random strand I can't quite grasp. There we go. I'll just leave it as so. And there we go. Fluttershy's one end. Or if I feel like I want to curve it, I can always do it like that. See, as you can see, like I said, it's very curly and moldable. And that's how I stylize Fluttershy. Now, of all the Build-A-Bear ponies I've had to deal with so far, Twilight is the biggest pain. A royal pain. The reason why I say that Twilight's a pain is that because her plugs are very much so different. And, of course, it's her stripes. Her stripes are the numero uno problem. When I got her, even though, you know, we had some separation of her colorings, I had to finer separate them because they were too integrated with each other. And I had to do it at the core base of her plugs. It's very important to note that having a teaser in this situation is vital. Because if you don't have anything that can finally separate these strands, then it will be impossible to get your Twilight's hair stylized if it's a complete mess. So, again, let me show you some things about her plugs. You have a first set that's located right here. A second set that's located right here, horizontally, and a vertical set that's located all the way down to her spine, or the back of her head, basically, as you can see right here. And of course, her tail's at. Her tail is also another pain that I had to deal with. When it was bundled up, I had to unbunch it, and then I had to fix it, and my goodness, it drove me insane. So let me show you the fixing of her tail. Just like anything else, gotta comb it. Inward and upward. I might run into a few strands of problems. Of course, here we go. Then I had to separate some strands of hair from the other ones. Her tail I'm not too bothered by necessarily, but at the same time, like, there we go. Like the purple, the light purple, the dark purple, the reddish purple. It's all getting integrated again. Too much of the red is getting into my purple here. That's fine. I'm okay with that because her tail is very, 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 very difficult to maintain. More puns, yes. There we go. Somewhat Twilight-esque tail, properly fixed. Refixed, actually. I'll have it stylized like that. I like that swishing motion. There you go. You can see the final product. How it looks. Now, when I stylize my Twilight's hair, I've seen a lot of other Build-A-Bear, not collectors, but other Build-A-Bear ponies. What they would do is that they would take both her frontal bangs and have this set right here come up to the front, and then they will cut it properly so that it doesn't cut off her eyes. Because currently, if you look at them, they're way too long and they cover her eyes. I opted differently. I said that, hey, you know what? Rather than being completely show accurate and destroying my pony in the process, why don't I stylize it my own way? So what I did differently was, as you can see, my Twilight has one set of her hair right here, curving this way, going over her eyes a bit. So we have that bangs, but it's kind of giving her this like little bit of an anime-like look. I like that. I will not do the same thing as I showed you what I did with the tail, but I had to correctly separate these three colors. And then I curved them. They originally were kind of curvy beforehand, but then I molded it some more. Just, you know, heat, hand crunching, and just general motioning towards to where I want it to go. Curving it. Remember, because these are not playing ones. These are not ones I hug or hold a lot or whatnot. These are for my displaying. I don't ever have to worry about them going out of place sometimes. So there's that. Let me see if I can fix it a little bit further. Alright, look at that. And then for over here on the right side, you can see I gave her this very, very unique little look again. I have one set from the original bang set curving this direction, and then I have one underneath that curves in this opposite direction, giving again this anime-esque vibe. I kept the main plugs from the back of the head curving this way, just like the traditional Twilight look, with a little bit of a change. I'll show you how I did those. So the first set here is with the front bangs. If you notice that with that, I took the front set of this current bang, and because mine was arcing very, very high, I had it arc in such a way where it would, I inverted it and then I arced it in such a curl to give her that front curl. And the backside portions of this plug, I just have it set, because it was curling in that direction, I had it curl in the other direction. So it's kind of like inverting both ways. What do I mean by that? So if these front were like so beforehand, I took this one, inverted the plugs. Don't know if I can properly show it. Inverted the plugs, had it arc in this direction to the right. Then I took this set of plugs, formed it, pulled, mold. Then I separated it a little bit because I wanted to have that, you know, that nice finesse, that abundance of a bang. Spread it out a bit. Spread that out. See, originally it was like this, just a single strand. I spread it out, molded it, and then with this one right here, which is on top, again, I molded it. Let's see if I can fix that invert. There you go, there's the invert. Fixed it, and have it go that way. So Twilight would have this little anime-esque kind of look going on for her. And of course, with her back mane, I didn't have to do too much fixing. I had to originally separate them, and then comb downward. It wasn't too hard, you know, just finessing and combing it. More importantly, I had to take the back end and then curl it in such a manner where I just did like that. Bam! That is my Twilight Sparkle. Now let me show you examples of cutting excess. Lucky my Twilight actually has excess hair that I'm willing to snip away for the camera. So I hope you could see it. It's very, very hard. There's excess in her bangs right here that I didn't catch beforehand. These strands are very long, actually. They're longer than what I wanted her hair to be like. So when we define what we don't like, we take snippers and just snip, snip, snip away. Shazam! Giving Twilight a haircut. Alrighty then, here we are with Rainbow Dash. Now, as you could see, I have not stylized Rainbow Dash. And for some of those who are actually curious how a Build-A-Bear pony comes as, usually they come in with their hairs, you know, tied up in a clear rubber band, hair rubber bands. And yeah, they're bundled up like that. Some of you are like really curious, like, oh, so how does he stylize? Like, sometimes I just unbundled it and I liked the way it looked, and I'll just mold it, fold it, not fold it, mold it and curve it to the way I like it, and then I'll comb it out and straight it out. So, but with Rainbow Dash, I have not done that. I haven't had a chance actually to mess around and fix her hair up, and I could tell that because of the rainbows are going to be a very pain. This is going to be my best friend. So let's jump right to it. Usually I like to jump off and do the tails first because they are the least painful aspect, and because you don't have to deal with basically having to fix them up later on. What I mean by this is that when you're stylizing the hair, you have to move the body around a lot and such. When you stylize the tail, you don't have to. I mean, yes, people would say like, why don't you do that last? But sometimes I might need to move the ponies, and if you have to fix the hair up, that's a lot harder than to fix the tail. The tail's almost always easier to fix it. The only one that was a difficulty was Twilight. So let's see how Rainbow Dash's tail fares. Well, it's this curly mess already that I'm gonna have to comb out. Oh boy. There's a lot. As you can see, this is how I comb. I start off with my ponies. Actually, sometimes I want to separate it because you can tell that there's huge knots, devastating knots. That can destroy your comb if you're not careful. Your combs are not invincible. They can take damage. And then they will break. Some people might say like, oh, aren't you worried about damaging your pony's hair? I'm like, not so much so, because one strand does not compare to a single single fiber of the comb. So look, I'm separating the colors because I just figured out, like, okay, maybe the coloring is a lot easier to separate if you do it individually, because tackling them all together just does not seem like a good idea right now. And as you can see with my style, and don't be afraid that if your pony is losing hair, there's plenty of hair to go, so don't worry. Don't be afraid. See, again, with these heavier knots, you cannot let your comb go through them. You will end up breaking something of your comb, and yeah, you'll be outed of like $10 worth or $8, depending on how much you spent on that comb. Hairstylist combs are kind of cheap, but you know, they're not exactly cheap. Here's one knot right here. That's like the master of knots. Okay. Again, look at that. Like, you can just separate the hair and not give. You wouldn't even have to care about it. Ah, there we go. A way I could describe how you know if you can safely go through a knot or not is that if it feels like it's breaking away with every tug. If it feels like literally a brick wall and you're not going to go through it, don't force it. You're going to break your comb. You're going to damage more of your pony's hairs. Don't bother. Instead, separate, pull. Make sure you don't remove your comb completely sometimes, because you want to find the original knot so you can fix it. Alright, I think all the purple in Rainbow Dash's hair, or back mane, is fixed. Let's do some underhand techniques. Again, I'm doing some heating here. I'm just trying to mold her hair. I got some blue in my Rainbow Dash. That might be a critical error. Some strands are very, very thick like this. You have an option of destroying it or separating it. Your call on that one. Depending for me, if the strand is not too noticeable, then I will keep it. If I can separate it, I'll separate it. If not, then I will destroy it. By destroying, I mean simply just cutting it off. So the purple in Rainbow Dash's tail is completed. One color down. 5 more to go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. Colors of the rainbow, man. Colors of the rainbow. Oh, and be careful when you're pulling or separating hairs that you're not pulling at the plug level. You pull at the plug level, that's no, that's danger. That's dangar. Dangar, guys. You're going to be damaging the actual plugs. You can actually pull out the plugs and ruin your pony's hair for good. Always firm grip at one end, not at the end of that, but a firm grip, and pull from that point. Or like come from that point. Don't ever do it from the base. Unless you have a legitimately good reason, which, to be honest, there really isn't any. Alright, so I got these two. I'm going to try and mesh them together. I'm not going to comb them together, actually. I'm just going to mesh them. See? Like that. It's going to come out even better when I finalize it. Okay. Now let's mesh them all together. This orange does not want to come out. There we go. And I almost Rainbow Dash's tail, with the exception of this orange that just does not want to cooperate. Look at that. I got her tail all fixed up. I'm going to have it slide down, but look at that, that looks wonderful. You could say and almost argue the last time, like, oh, it looked fine before. I'm like, not really. It looked like more of a curly mess. This has been combed out in a somewhat straightened sense. And looks a lot nicer in my opinion. Look, I fixed it. I made it look nice. So here's the final product in a sense. Her tail's a lot nicer. Even though it's still kind of curvy or whatnot, it has that waves and it looks really, really nice. So I'm gonna have it down like that. Have all the colors separated. Albeit though sometimes they kind of mesh in with each other, but I mean, like, you got to deal with it, you know. There's no such thing as perfection, and if you ask me, imperfection is sometimes a nice thing. Gives it a little bit more of a style. yeah, let's jump into this. Kind of scared. I'm actually thinking that I might want to pull up a reference because there's another picture from one of my wallpapers that has Rainbow Dash with a ponytail-like style. So I might do that if her main just does not gel well with all the other colors. Oh my. Oh my, oh my, oh my. She has huge golden locks. I almost think, well, with the exception of separating some of her main colors and whatnot, I might keep her in that way. I might not actually have to go with my other style. Okay, so... By the way, from the looks of it, because that she doesn't have any frontal bangs, it might be impossible to give her Rainbow Dash look. Let me try. I'm gonna try it. Her other portion of her front hair. Time to fix up her backside. That's kind of hard to see, but she has like 3 different types back. Her back here is actually very easy to deal with. Alright, let me try and show you again why I use a teaser. If you have not caught that already in the multiple times I've shown it. I do have to say Rainbow Dash probably has the most hair besides Fluttershy at the moment. Even Twilight doesn't even compare to her. It's frizzy, but ultimately I get her to look like this. Here's the front of her. And that is my Rainbow Dash. I'm happy ultimately with her styling. There you go. Very stylized Rainbow Dash. What I did was I couldn't opt for the front bangs like she actually does have in the show, so what I did was I kept in the spirit of it, keeping the first 3 colors of her actual hair on this right side, and then moving over the other side. There was an extra set, as you saw earlier on, an extra set of blue down here. So what I did is I just hid it underneath the rest. You can kind of see it, but ultimately I wanted just a nice set of rainbow and not an extra blue. That didn't look appealing to me at all. And of course, here's her tail, which I managed to keep very, very nice for the most part. And yes, it all looks frizzy from afar and all, or from really, really up close. But if you look at her as a display model, I think she's going to look fantastic. Well, not I think, I know. Alright, so let's move on to Pinkie Pie. Alrighty then, so let's get ready to do Pinkie Pie. So let me show you what she looks like before I mess around with her. I have her hair curled this way and her hair maned this way right here, along with her tail. Now, the funny thing is that she kind of came as it is. And, yeah, I'm done. See ya. No, I'm actually not. Well, I'm kidding, but at the same time, I'm not. So here's the deal. When I got Pinkie Pie, just like Rainbow Dash, how her hair was knotted up and bundled, I just unbundled it. And because the nature of Pinkie Pie's hair is so curly and poofy, there's not much I could do with her hair, or I should have done with her hair, to be honest. So what I did was, a la to her little front hanging hair in the actual show, I kept this front curl, moved it upwards, and thought this is kind of cute and nice the way it is. I don't need to fix it. And I moved all her back mane, frazzed it up a bit, separated some of the curls so they had their own individual unique curls, and pushed it over to here. And so Pinkie Pie, and her tail, by the way, yeah, it's just this one long curl that was like bundled up, but it was like, it's fine the way it is. I honestly don't think that there's something I should fix with her. And so when I originally have her, displayed, she looks something similar to that. That's Pinkie Pie right there. I mean, honestly, there's not much to do stylizing Pinkie Pie, which is really, really nice, to be honest. Some people are like, oh, I want super show accurate. I'm like, well, you're not going to get that with the Build-A-Bears. But what you can get is something very similar. That's what I did with my Pinkie Pie. I'm happy the way she looks. Of course, she looks kind of balding and boring on this side, but, when I display her, the intent is never to show on the other side. So, no need for my comb, and no need for my scissors. Pinkie Pie is set the way she is. And that about wraps up this episode of a solid review of Viewer's Request. I hope you guys find this video to be very informative and entertaining to the least bit. I know I had a lot of fun doing this episode, getting the chance to restylize my ponies, and then especially having time to stylize Rainbow Dash, who's been sitting on my display case for like a long while, and I never really had the time to stylize her. And thank you, River, for suggesting and asking for this request, because he just gave me the chance to stylize Rainbow Dash, and now she's looking good like the rest. So I'm pretty happy about that. And if you guys haven't, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, follow me on Twitter, and check out my Twitch TV account if you're a gamer. I do game streams quite a bit now. And with that said, if you have any other questions or comments, please leave them in the comment section down below. Again, I love to hear from my viewers and what you guys have to say about my videos, or just anything in general. And if you have a viewer request, don't be afraid to ask. Unless you're trying to troll me. I don't care either way. So, again, thanks again for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next episode. Lates.